So, just so we have this on film for your graphic, go ahead and tell us your full name and what title you want me to put on there for you.
Oh my gosh, I get a title.
Yeah.
My real name is James Keith Livingston, but most people know me as Jim Livingston. Head flunky. Nobody's ever given me a title that was actually publishable because most of them are horrible. I guess I'm now an author and a photographer and starving artist. Starving artist is probably the most correct.
All right. We'll just leave that caption rolling through the explanation. So how did you catch on to Route 66 and how did it evolve into this project?
I was born in St. Louis, lived in Springfield, and I lived in Amarillo, and I lived in Albuquerque. So it's kind of ironic, excuse me, my glasses are dirty, especially with that light. It's kind of ironic that growing up and all through my adult life, Route 66 has been around me. But you know, like people from Florida, they never go to Walt Disney World for whatever reason. They just think that it's going to always be there and eventually they'll get to it. That was kind of Route 66 for me. The other thing is I don't think we Americans have any true sense of how important Route 66 is for the history of America or the history of like entertainment, the music and stuff like that. It's just something that we're so around that even though I grew up around it, I never realized how important it was. So when I moved to Amarillo, this crazy concept I have of gathering people's answers to these questions in their portraits happened on Route 66. It happened at a coffee shop on Route 66. The coolest thing about this coffee shop, it's a little coffee shop, the 806 coffee shop, you'll be sitting there and there's a biker with like skinned up knuckles. It looks like he just got done with a fight. So we're not talking about a doctor on a Harley Davidson, you know. There'll be a banker in a three-piece suit. There'll be a college kid with tattoos who's doing an art project. There'll be a homeless guy, and there'll be a soccer mom from Minnesota. And they're all sitting there, and they're not spitting at each other, and they're not arguing. They're actually enjoying each other's company, and it's the craziest thing in the world. That many people with that many diverse backgrounds would be in that small of a room and getting along. And so the coffee shop asked me if I wanted to do an art show, and I said, sure. And at that time, I'd probably done 10 or 12 art shows about my photography. And that's what I think they wanted me to do. But as I sat in that coffee shop and I looked at this incredible diversity of people, I wanted to show that off. I wanted to show off that there are places in America where people with these great varied backgrounds can sit and enjoy each other and not be upset. And so the original concept for the art show had nothing to do with Route 66, or so I thought. It just had to do with me showing off this diverse group of people. So I did the original art show. It had 64 portraits, and I thought it was going to be a one-time deal. You could not get in a coffee shop or breathe comfortably at that art show. So what ended up happening was I realized that if you do an art show and you put people in it, those people are going to come and they're going to bring people to brag about the fact that they're in an art show. So that's always good for a starving artist. The other thing that happened was within 6 months, 11 months, I don't know exactly the time period, but I had 600 portraits. People kept calling me up saying, hey, I want to do that I am thing. I want to do that portrait. And it wasn't just one or two people. It would be like, I'm having a birthday party. Can you come do my family? I'm having an art show. Can you come do the art show? And so I do 20 or 30 at a time. And so it just grew. I actually wrote a book called I Am the Panhandle, which is about the Panhandle of Texas. Could not find a publisher to save my life. I did find one publisher, and that book deal fell through, but I have like 37 rejection letters. And so I thought it was kind of a dead idea. I thought that it was just not a great idea. But people kept asking me to do their portraits in this style. So finally, long-term friend of mine, Bob Lyle, who you know, hang out at his gallery, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to him, and I'm kind of like, Bob, I really think maybe Route 66 is what started this whole thing off, because where else in America do you find this crazy group of eclectic people in one room? that's what made that coffee shop buzz, was the people that were traveling down Route 66 were stopping there and enjoying each other. And so he and I started the project we started the project in November of 2019. So what is that, 8 months that we've been doing it? We've covered 6,000 miles of Route 66.
Wow.
Route 66 is 2,400 miles. But Bob and I have seesawed back and forth. Amarillo's right in the middle of it, so we'll go east, and then we'll go west, and then we'll go east, and then we'll go west. Ironically, even though we've covered 6,000 miles of Route 66, we've only covered from Chicago to Albuquerque. We haven't gone from Albuquerque to LA yet. So this whole exhibit represents Route 66 from Chicago to Albuquerque.
Very interesting. Yeah, one of the things I noticed, the questions you asked, and they were challenging because when you were catching us along the road, we didn't have a whole lot of time to think. It was on the fly.
Yeah.
And these were challenging questions. The first question was kind of a given, but the other two questions were very deep, thoughtful, almost, like the inevitability of what you want to do before you pass away. How did you come up with that list of questions, and is there a relationship to that? And even if there isn't, tell us about your colleagues that actually passed away during this project.
Yeah, holy smokes, I get goosebumps thinking about that. How the questions came about, kind of interesting. So originally there wasn't going to be any questions on portraits. I was just going to do the portraits of these, the college kid with the tattoos and the banker and the biker and the soccer mom, because I thought it was really neat that you had that diverse group of people. But I learned a really important concept as a photographer. I don't care how interesting the person looks. If they're a stranger, they're still a stranger. And there's nothing to capture your attention. There's nothing to cause you to pause and slow down and really look at that person. If you're a photographer and you know history, Dorothy Elaine's Migrant Mother is this beautiful picture of this mother in the 1930s. She's got the kids on her lap and this look of desperation on her face. I think the reason that that's such a classic portrait is because every parent I know looks at her face and understands that desperation of how am I going to take care of my children. If you got money, then it's how are you going to take care of your children emotionally? If you don't get money, then you're trying to figure out bills. But it's that look on her face that people identify with. And so the challenge for me was how do I take this complete and total stranger and make the viewer connect with them on a deep and intimate level? Well, so the first question that I started, the original project was going to go from the 806 show to regrets. This lawyer who was traveling Route 66, he had just retired, been a lawyer for 30 years. He's from Stephenville, I think, Stephenville, Texas. And we're sitting there, we're talking, and I take his portrait, and I ask him, are you traveling Route 66 with somebody? And he's doing it alone. And he tells me that his wife, or that the woman that he asked to marry him, he got a scholarship to like Harvard, Yale, or one of the Ivy League schools. Her mother was dying of cancer at the time. And he had this scholarship, but her mother was dying. And so it came down time to go, and she gave him a choice. Mom is dying, and I can't go.
Wow.
If you go, I can't trust you to be here in the future. 30 years later, he's still thinking about this woman. 30 years later, he's single. 30 years later, he's traveling Route 66 alone, wishing that he made a different decision. That kind of like set me on my heels. So then the very next day, literally the very next day, there's this homeless dude. He's counting out pennies for coffee. So I buy him a cup of coffee and a bowl of chili. And he tells me the story about how he was a six-figure accountant. And his wife basically said, you got a problem here. You can be married to your job or you can be married to me, but you can't be married to both. You got to come home at times. And he chose his job. 5 years later, or 5 months later, she divorces him. 5 years later, he's homeless. And so you have this millionaire lawyer and this homeless dude who have the exact same regret. They chose poorly in relationships, and now they're obsessed with it. And so The first question, and the original project was just going to be regrets, but what happened was I got so tired of, the former social worker, I was a social worker for a number of years. It wasn't just that I would hear about their regrets, I would hear about their regrets. And so I started asking people the question, well, what are you going to do now? It's so, you're this lawyer and you're pining away for this love. What are you going to do? You can't live in that regret, right? So the Before I Die came out of that. Most people don't tie the Before I Die to their regret, which I think is kind of interesting. In the I Am thing, when people would walk up to me, hi, I'm Jim Livingston, I'm a photographer and I'm doing this project. And they would respond, hi, I'm Joe Smith and I'm a plumber and I'm traveling Route 66. And I thought, well, there's your introduction. The really crazy thing about the Before I Die is one of the first things I noticed, and when I tell you this, I don't want to insult anybody who's answered it this way, so I'm kind of fearful of telling this, but there were a lot of really fluffy answers before I die. Before I die, I'm going to see my children happy. Before I die, I hope world peace happens. Before I die, whatever happens. And that kind of disappointed me. John Maxwell, am I going too long? Am I talking too long?
No.
I read this study by John Maxwell about Harvard graduates. They started in, I think, like the early 1970s, and they asked the graduates a series of 3 questions. The first question was, do you have goals? 10 years later, they tracked those graduates who had goals compared to those who hadn't. What they found out was the graduates who had goals had made like an average of $100,000 more per year. Right? And I may be wrong about the details, but something like that. So then they asked the question, do you have written goals? If they had goals, are your goals written? And what they discovered was the people with written goals earned like $250,000 per year. So then they asked one more question. Do you have written goals with a date? Those people were earning $1 million a year.
Wow.
So when you look at the Before I Die, we're going to die. I promise you. Every person watching this video is going to die. Do you want your regrets to be what you didn't do? John Maxwell in that same study talked about how that the richest places in America are graveyards. There are more unpublished, prize-winning novels and unsung songs and unpainted masterpieces in graveyards because people didn't take the chance on doing something. And so there was also another study of 80-year-olds, and he was asking them what made their life successful. The question, what they regretted wasn't what they did. They didn't regret their mistakes. What they regretted was what they didn't do. They regretted what they didn't try. They regretted not asking the pretty girl out on a date. They regretted not getting up in karaoke and singing, although my wife really regrets that I did do that. So now, 4 years down the road, 4 of the people in this project passed away. So I don't want to be 80 years old and regretting what I didn't do. And so I fly like a bat out of hell. I want to live life as best I possibly can. And I make all kinds of mistakes. I screw up all the time. But I get up and I try again, and I try to see as much life as I can. I try to see the sunsets. I try to do. This project has changed me because I know I'm going to die. And I don't want to be on my deathbed regretting what I didn't do.
To wrap it up, obviously I am Route 66. Is that how you feel now?
Yes and no. The most amazing thing about Route 66 that I had no clue was going to happen was Route 66 is a 2,400-mile long community of this crazy, wonderful, dysfunctional, functional group of people who share so much in common. As I travel, it's like I'm meeting future friends. I mean, it's the craziest thing in the world. last night, or the night before last, in Springfield, Missouri, 4 total strangers sitting around the table as I'm taking a picture, and we're talking about these questions. And, you know, now they're these really good friends. Route 66 is like some kind of metaphor of life's journey. And the people that you meet on it, if you're just open up to them, they can become your lifelong friends. I've met some of the best people in the world on Route 66. So I don't really feel like I am Route 66. What I feel like is we are Route 66.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim.